So guys, I'm back here. It's easy here. So we're going to continue our tutorial that we did last time. So last time we made a custom unit and we saw the way the official modding tools approximately work to create a unit. So the last time we made the unit, but we saw that the fact that the unit had the faction colors. So what we need to do, of course, is we need to change it to have its own custom color. So that is what we're going to do now. So we're going to the official modding tools. I have it in my documents. And here you have the official modding tools here. The first thing that I always do before I start modding again, and I need to extract again a mod pack, is I try to clean it up first. So I go to working data, and then I have here a folder with db and a folder text. So I delete those ones. So otherwise they come back in our mod pack. So we don't want that. And also in retail, we delete in retail our my units.pack. I mean the one that I created or renamed it, because we already have it in our data folder. As you can see, here is my units.pack, so we don't need to do it again. Okay, so we cleaned up the folder. So we go back to binaries, and from binaries we go back to tweak.release.the executable to go to the Dave program or database visual editor. So Dave database visual editor, we click on it, and indeed we connect. So we say yes as usual, and we go to table launcher, and then we go to as you can all see all the last time, these are all the DB files that are the database files of all the information that the game needs. So we go back to the uniforms. So we're going to look for it. So here's uniforms. Now uniforms, we already did that, so that's perfect, but now we need uniforms to faction colors. So we double click on it, and that is or this gives the information of units or uniform names, because we already created a uniform name. So here we can create custom colors for our uniform. Now a later time you will see we can make our own mask file, but that's for later times. I'm not going to talk about it yet. So as we can see now, here it's easy because here we have the Boshin United States Marines, the normal one from the standard game. We can just take over that color code. Now sometimes you want another color, so to know approximately which color you want to have, you can better go to Google. So here you have Google, and then you say okay, or you type in RGB color picker, and the RGB color picker you can slide or change it here or whatever until you have the color you like to have for the uniform. So you can slide to the left, right, and see, okay, I want dark green or whatsoever, and then you will see it will give you some values. So this value RGB is the values that we need to put in our database. So here you can see we have the primary color R, so that's the primary color R, the reds, primary color G, primary color B. That is most of the time for our you can say torso, or the body itself, the uniform color. The secondary color R and secondary color G and second color B, excuse me, they are more for the pants most of the time, so the pants or whatever. And the tertiary color R, tertiary color G, tertiary color B are most of the time for other parts of the torso or for the pants, but most of the time that are important are the primary colors and the secondary colors. So let us go down again and scroll to we find the United States Marines. So here, just for a test, we're going to put those values into the color picker, and then you have approximately an idea what color will be overlaid over the uniform. So here we can see R, primary color R is 41. So we go to the color picker, and I don't know if you can type one in. Oh, we can't type in, well, sadly. Okay, let's go to it's somewhere to blue, eh? Well, let me see, because you can't, sadly you can't type it in, eh? HTML color picker, here we can type it in. So HTML color picker, you can type in the colors. So let me see if I can use the color. That's 41. That's yellow. Wait, that's this one. Damn it. Here it is. So RGB calculator, yeah, sorry guys, it's the first time I normally always use Adobe Photoshop to type in the color, so then I have an idea approximately. So here you have in the same program, we3schools.com I think it is, then you take color RGB, and then we type in the colors that were written. So we had 41, 78, and here we have 118. So that is a color that will be overlaid over your uniform. So this is just an example to know what color you're going to have, custom color over your unit. So in theory we don't need it yet, and maybe in later time when we really start making our own unit parts, but now we don't need it. So what I'm going to do is just Control C again, and we go and add a record, and we paste here with Control V. Same thing, we just put OK, and the uniform name we go and change it to our own, we're going to look for our own uniform that we made. Let me see, Boshin line United States, Boshin United States Line Infantry. Okay, that's the one. So 41, 78, 118, the rest is all the same, so it didn't change. So here you have the type, and that is just the type that is being used in game. So for example, we have the soldier. So we had three types. We had a soldier, the officer, and the standard bearer. You also have a musician, but we didn't add the musician yet. That will be for later times, if we ever start making no standard bearer whatsoever. So for the moment we concentrate on the basics. So we have soldier, okay, we add a record, then we just take the same tab, we do again Control C to copy, and then Control V in the new record, we say okay, and now we take type and we take the officer, and now we add a record again, because you know in the normal United States Marines, they only have officer and soldier, and the reason why of course is because in the vanilla game the United States Marines do not have a standard bearer. So if we don't do it, it will still use the normal faction color overlay, and we don't want that, of course. We always have to specify what we really want, otherwise the game thinks again that yeah, it didn't specify it, so I'm going to give it the uniform of the faction. And here we take standard bearer. Okay, here officer 1 not, it's officer. Officer 1 and officer 2 and 3 are for the how you call it, for the navy. Yeah, just if you have naval units, then you have to have officer 1, 2 and 3. So that's what he has. So as you can see, just to see it again, we have our uniform name that we made in the uniforms tab, and then we have the type, standard bearer, officer and soldier, and then we have the color codes. And as you can see here in the RGB calculator, you can, I will see if I can maybe add it in the description below, so you don't have to look for it, so I can put it on the forum and in the YouTube video itself. Then you can directly go and type in which type you want, and sometimes you can also, I'm not sure if you can slide in it, If you need, for example, values itself, like, okay, that's the color you want, then you have to look for what we had before. Let me see if it's a color picker. No, this is not it. Color RGB. Well, then you go back to where I told you is the RGB color picker. You click on it and then you can just slide and then click on it. So here is the one where you type it yourself, and this is where you can find your own color, and then you can use the RGB values to put them in the primary color for the torso or body most of the time, or for the pants, or for another optional color. So you can only add 3 optional colors if the uniform allows for it, because not if you make your own uniform, you will see in later times, you have to make your own mask file to put a color overlay on it. Then you have to choose yourself which will be the primary one, the secondary one, and the tertiary one. But that's not for now. So we already have it now, so I hope you understand how it works with the colors. So you have the RGB primary, you have the RGB secondary, and you have the RGB tertiary color. Okay, and you have the uniform name of your unit and the type, standard bearer, officer, and soldier. So what we do is we apply, and that's it. So now we finished with our custom unit. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to close it. I will minimize it. We go to bob.release to build the pack files. But now we're going to use we are not going to take all the pack files or the DB files that we need. We're just going to take the ones that we customized today, and today we customized the uniforms colors. So we're going to look for, here it is. Sorry, we're going to go to uniform underscore to faction underscore colors.xml. We click on it. Okay, both of them, and we go back to retail on the data. Now as you can see, it will make back a mod.pack, but don't worry, I will show you that we don't need to extract back units or unit groupings or unit stats land or units abilities, because we're just going to need the ones that we customized, because the other ones we already customized and they are in our mod pack. So what we're going to do is we're going to just the one that we customized, the DB folder or the database folder, we're going to extract that one. It will convert to a pack file, and then we're going to extract that information into our own pack file. You just follow along, then you will see what I mean. And we click then start. So everything is green, so it means that everything worked, and we exit. So if we go back to our modding folder in retail, you see a mod pack. That again, you don't need to do nothing. What we're going to do now is we go to let me see, to Rusted Pack File Manager, and that's the program I told you to download in the first tutorial. So I'm not going to explain again how to install and all those stuff. For that you have to see the first tutorial. So you go back to Rusted Pack File Manager, and we open the executable, so rpfm slash code.exe or executable, and we double click on it. Okay, this open, that means that we open the program, and we go to pack file, and now we say open from data. Now open from data means that it will look for the game folder that is default added in your preferences that we did in the first tutorial. So you have to see the first tutorial to see that. So open from data. So this one it means it will open directly the folder or the Shogun 2 folder on our C drive or on our installed hard drive. So as you can see, it will open, you see all the pack files. So of course we go to my units.pack, that's the one we created last time. So we open it, and here you can see all the files. Now battle terrain, we didn't make that actually, variant models either, so in theory that file we can delete, battle terrain we can also delete because we don't need it. We only made the database and the text folder, of course, to have our unit's name to appear in game. So those are the ones we only need, or we created. So here then we click back on pack file and we save pack file. Okay, now we need to have, of course, the uniform colors. So the way we do it is pretty simple. So as you can see, I click on DB, one click, I do a right click, and then here on add I say add from another, or add from a pack file, and we click on it. And now what we're going to do, we're going to look for the pack file that is in our modding folder. So I put my modding folder, remember, in my documents. So I go to modding, shown to Total War, then we are in the folder, the moddings folder, and then I go to retail data, and I'll double click mod.pack, and on the right side you see the mod.pack is going to get open. So it's actually telling us, okay, please choose the folder you want to add in your myunits.pack file from mod.pack. And you can use it for the same system. You can also use it if you want, for example, extract some information from the vanilla or standard game. You can also do it the same way. So now we go to uniform.faction, we double click on it, and as you can see on the, excuse me, I'm a bit sick still. On the left side we can see uniform to faction colors tables. It's in green, it means we added that in game. That's a new, that's like a new addition to our pack file. So we exit here, you can see on the right side, exit add from pack file mode. We click on it. So this will, now it will disappear. And now what we're going to do is back to pack file, and we save the pack file. So now our pack file is complete. As you can see, we have now uniform to faction colors table, and if you want, in Rusted Pack File Manager you can even see all the values. As you can see here, they are all here, and you can also do the changes in Rusted Pack File Manager, but my advice is try not to change it in the Pack File Manager, because the official modding tools tend to be more stable. Now Rusted Pack File Manager, I never really used it in that way. I did use the old Pack File Manager, and it gave me a lot of bad bugs and a lot of corruptions when I was only using Pack File Manager. So, you know, my recommendation is just to use the official modding tools if you need to change any values. So it's easier, but you can also do it here, no problem. So we're going to exit the program, and what we're going to do again is we're going to test the game again to see if it works in game. So we go back to our games, Shogun 2, and play the game. Pop-up, of course, we already enabled it, so we can just directly launch. And minimize it, and now we go into the long Shogun 2 loading image. Shogun 2 really takes a long time to load. That's pretty strange. And I have an SSD M.2 slot. It can read write until max 1.8 gigabyte per second. So yeah, it's really strange that the game is taking so long to load, but okay. Let's be patient, I guess. Sega. Okay. And now we are back in the main menu of Shogun 2. We go back to custom battle. You see that it's already pre-made because the in the user script, I will ever talk about the not the user script but the application data creative assembly folder, but that's for a later time. But it always saves the last used units that we used and faction. So, as you can see, we already have the General's Bodyguard, we have the United States Marines, and we have the United States Line Infantry. Yeah, let's say that we attack. Okay, that makes me so crazy every time, eh? It's like, oh, always have to take them out because the game makes it like auto fill or something. So okay, let's put summer. Fins, okay, 20 minutes, okay. And we start the battle. And now we go back to the long loading time of Shogun 2. Drinking coffee here. So we are here, and as you can see, these are the United States Marines.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Going to start the battle because we are attacking. And as you can see, it is now using the custom colors that we actually used from the United States Marines. But as I said, with a color picker or typing in your own color, you can just do it yourself. So if you say, I don't want that blue color, I want it maybe lighter blue or whatsoever, then you just go to
Today,
Google,
sir, we attack.
you choose RGB color picker, and then you just the information, I mean, you pick the color you like in the palette, in the color palette. And if you say, okay, that color I like for the torso, then you see like an RGB color code, and that is the color code you will use for your uniform colors. So yeah, that is it for our unit. So we have
Sir, United
our
States Marines, sir.
United States Marines. Let them walk a bit forward so then you can see a bit, just for fun. And yeah, that's it. So we're going to now do the same thing for the British and French. We will call them the same thing. So we'll call them like British line infantry and French line infantry. So just in case, of course. So we're going to get out, of course, here because it works so perfect. If you want to see a bit more action, then see the unit in action, because maybe you have to change some stats in the unit stats tables. I already explained it in the first tutorial how you can give them different stats, so you see it for yourself. So now we're going to do the same thing for the British and the French, so then you get acquainted more with the official modding tools a bit more, and of course with the pack file manager. So that one worked. So remember, I mean, that's what I always do. We always clean up our folders. So we go back to the modding folder, retail, data, and we delete it. And we also go to the working data and we delete the database one. Now variant models, in theory we don't need it either. You can delete it either, but we leave it for the moment. So here we just delete the for database. So now we go back to binaries, and we're going to do the same thing now for the French and British units. So we go to tools, Dave, database visual editor, we say yes, we do table launcher, and we go to units. We always start with the units one. You will see that in time I will not tell you like, okay, we have to go to Dave and this and that, because in theory now you have to know how it works. So we're going to add a record back, and we're going to look for the this is the French one, Infanterie de Marine, for the French line. So Control C to copy and Control V to paste. So that's for the French, and we're going to add another one now for the British. Elite Royal Marines. Okay, we say Control C again to copy, and we do then Control V to paste. So as we say, we're going to use the same naming convention as we used before. So here we have Boshin line United States line infantry. I'm just going to copy, and then I will change it when I paste it. So this is the French one, so we paste, and now we're going to call it French line infantry. Okay, here we call it then Boshin Inf line British line infantry. That's it. So that is the database text. So So that's the key that will be used for all the other unit things that has to do with units. And this the on-screen name, as I told you before, that will be seen as a name that will be seen in game. So I will call it then French line infantry. And the Royal Marines, I change it to British line infantry. Category is the same, infantry range. We know that we have to change the class to line because it's a line infantry, not an elite infantry. Pretty easy. Okay. Multiplayer cost, we did I think 1,000, so let's do 1,000 again. We enter 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Okay, that's for multiplayer and multiplayer. Multiplayer category is of course not elite but line, so we go to MP Bosch line infantry. Remember that everything that is with Bosch means Boshin means fall of the samurai, and we paste it here, so it's line infantry. Create time is the amount of turns to pass to create the unit. Now it's more for campaign. You will see later after this part of the tutorial, I'm going to add it to those units that I made for the campaign. So add to a building and whatsoever, and then you see how it works for the campaign, because now we only add them for custom battles, you could say. So create cost for single player is 1,000 and 1,000. You can change it wherever you wish with it. So the upkeep cost, we put it on 120 and 120. Campaign action points, as we all know, is that's the amount that it can walk per turn. You can change the values if you want. Infantry, we know sound, we don't touch it. Remember, the reason why I explained it in the first tutorial is when you change the unit description, you can do that, no problem, because now it will use the Royal Marines description and Infanterie de Marine description, and we don't want that, of course. But if we change it, it will use Japanese sounds when you select a unit, because sadly in Shogun 2 and in Fall of the Samurai, units are bound or sound bound by the unit description, at least the selection. The rest is bound by voice, but that's a really total other tutorial. I don't want to talk about it now because it's much more early to talk about it. So total cap, we put 5. That's for single player. That's the max amount that you can recruit in single player custom battle, and also in campaign, of course. Yeah, campaign. So that's for single player. We leave this for the rest because the UI doesn't change. So even if you put only available early, it doesn't matter. It will never change, because in I don't know if in Napoleon or in Empire you could choose that, and then the UI changes, like yeah, those are late units and those are early units. Sadly in Shogun 2 it's not available. Prestige point is of course the amount of prestige you receive from it. Yeah, it's the amount. Yeah, for example, if you put high values, of course you get high prestige points, but as I explained in the first tutorial, it's not very good because for realm divide. Total cap MP, that's for the MP custom battles and MP campaign. Put 5 also. Unit type icon elite infantry. No, it isn't. We need to look down for line infantry. So here we have one. Control C to copy, and Control V and Control V. Use on-screen name, we leave everything vanilla. Unit cast is modern, of course. I all explained that in the first tutorial, so I'm not going to go back to it. And the rest I also all explained in the first tutorial. And we click apply when we finish. We go to groupings military permissions now. Units 2 groupings military permissions. So we add them to the recruitment of Fall of the Samurai, of course. So we're going to look first for our unit. That is British Line Infantry. and we're going to look for another one, and that is French line infantry. And now we go to military group, and we go to Boshin, because everything is of course for Fall of the Samurai. I already explained what all this means in the first tutorial, so if you want to know more, you have to of course see the first tutorial. And we click apply. And now we go to after we did this one, we go to unit to unit abilities, because we want to give special abilities to our units, or otherwise they only fire a volley fire, and that's it. So we go to back to look for our unit. Line is British line infantry, and we're going to look for the what did they use again? Yeah, nil fire ability. Control C to copy, Control V, and of course they also use suppressing fire, all the units. So suppression fire, Control C to copy it, and Control V. And we're going to copy this one, British line, here, and we add a record, and we go back to our unit name to look for the French one, French line, suppressing fire, paste, nil fire, paste, French line, paste, and here we click on apply. Now we go back to our unit stats land. I'm just going to copy the one from the American line infantry I made the last time. Sorry. And for the stats, I explained all the stats in the first tutorial, because you know it's easier for time. So as you can see, here is the one we made last time, the Boshin line United States line infantry. So we just copy the entire table here, this of the line infantry, and we paste it here. Okay, we paste, and now we're going to look for the British line one, and that one is here. So we also have Boshin, standard bearer Boshin. Okay, you can of course, the equipment team, it's using the American one. We can maybe change that one to Boshin British. I all explained that in the first tutorial, so of course you have to look at the first tutorial what all those stats means. So because of course I'm not going to explain it every time, for time of course, because I want to continue the tutorial. And we do the same for the French down, so we then take the British, okay, we paste, we say okay again, and we look for the French one. So inline French, okay, and we're going to look for the equipment team if it has French, or Chassepot I think is Boshin French. Here we have it, Boshin French equipment team. I will explain in later tutorials about equipment, but now we just focus on the unit itself. So for the rest, yeah, as I explained in the first tutorial, I explained all those differences, so that's up to you to make them more different from one another. You can make them very unique, trust me, very unique. So that's up to you to do it. So I'm just giving you an example how to do all those stuff. So if we finish, we just click on apply. Now what we are going to do is we're going to give them unit parts or uniforms. So we go to uniforms, enlarge it, add a record, and we're going to look for the French one first. So that is the Infanterie de Marine. We Control C to copy again, and we go here and we paste with Control V, and we say okay. So of course we're going to change it to Boshin, not Infanterie de Marine, because remember the uniform name has to be unique, they cannot be the same. So we say French line infantry, okay. And for the unit, of course, we're going to look for our French unit. That one is here, okay, perfect. The rest is all the same. The officer file name, standard bearer file name, they're all the same, so we can change it, we can leave it everything like that. So now we do the same for the British. we're going to look for the Royal Marines, I think it is. Yes, here it is. Royal Marines. Control C to copy and Control V to paste. Okay, so of course we're going to change the uniform name again to something unique. British Line Infantry. Okay, and the file names are all, the rest is all okay. And we are going, I think we get an email, to our unit and look for our British Line Infantry that we made. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm a bit sick still, so my voice can sometimes sound a bit different. So here we have everything that is the same. All those things I will all explain in a later tutorial when we are going to make our own unit parts. So, first we're going to look with the official modding tools, but that's for a later part. So we have everything that we need of the uniforms. They're all important. Remember, we cannot skip anything of those ones, otherwise we get a crash, or probably if we do not add, or we don't give them a file name and an officer file name and a standard bearer file name, it will just be invisible, the unit. So it walk and it's invisible. So that's not really what we have to do. And normally you have to add I think even you are obligated to create a uniform name or to add one, because otherwise I think you even get a crash. So everything is in order and we click on apply. Okay, and now we go back to uniform to faction colors, because remember we have to make or give them specified uniform colors, otherwise of course remember that it will just the unit will get the faction colors. So we take the French one from Infanterie de Marine, Control C and Control V. Yes indeed, we go to the uniform name that we just created. So that was let me see, it was French line, I think it was Boshin. Where was it again? Let me see. United States Marines. That's not here either. United States line. Did I put? Here it is. French Line Infantry. And as I said earlier today, we need to specify the type. So we go first to standard bearer. We Control C again, Control V for the French one. We say OK, and then we go to the soldier. We add a record again. Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and we go to the officer. So yes, if you want, you can give them all different colors. So you can give the officer a different color, you can give the soldiers a different color, and you can give the standard bearer also a different color. And also explained earlier today what those colors mean. The primary RGB, secondary RGB, and tertiary RGB. And how you can also make your own different colors, as I said in the first part of this tutorial, that you can Google it by an RGB color picker to find your specified color and use those RGB values, and you can put them in those tables here, as you can see. So we have for the French now. Now we will look for the British, and that is normally Royal Marines. Here it is. Control C to copy and Control V to paste. So of course the uniform name has to change to the British Line Infantry, so that's this one. And we do the same thing, standard bearer, add a record, Control C to copy, Control V. Okay, we go to the soldier of course, and for last then we do for the officer, Control C, Control V. Okay, and here we do the officer. So as I said, these are the colors that you can choose. As remember, here is the colors. I will type in, for example, the British one. So R is 181. Okay, as primary color G, so RG, that's 10, value 10. and the primary color B, so RGB, the last one, is 10 also. So that's the color that you will have on your uniform. So if you want to again see, the French one is 47. The first one, that's the torsos. And remember, I'm talking about the primary one. 47, 90. And remember here, 90, that's the G. Click on it, maybe type in, and the primary color B is 149. RGB, remember, 149. That's the color that it will get in the game. So if you want to know exactly which color it is, you can do it. If you want your own colors, as I said, you just do RGB color picking in Google, and then for example, say, oh no, I want for example this bit darker blue. That's the color I want. That's the color it represents. Then you see RGB. So the first value is 38 is R, second value 68 is G, and the B, the third value, is 124. So R 38, G 68, B 124. And then you just type in, for example, which one was the first one? 38. We type here 38. The second one was 68. Then we type here in the G 68. And if we want the third one, that's the B 124, the blues, we type here then 124. And that's for the torso, most of the time for the body itself, the uniform, the upper part. And if you want for the pants, yeah, that's the same thing, RGB. So that's it, we just apply them. And now the last thing that we have to do is to go to the CDIR unit qualities, because that is for, remember in the first tutorial I explained for the balance of the game, the balance bar, which kind of quality, and also for the auto resolve. Of course there are much more things you have to add, you need to really have a very good balance bar and auto resolve, but those are the basic fundamentals you have to add. So we add a record, unit key, we look for our unit, that's line British. I will also directly do for the French and French one. So the group key, we all know it's a modern line infantry, so modern line. The config key is Boshin because it's followed the samurai, and the quality was, I think it was 700, because I think I looked down there, because the elite ones are like 1900, but they are not elite, but they are like the Black Bear infantry or the line Imperial infantry at 700. So I put here 700. That's it, and we click on apply, and that's it. And now we do the same thing as before again. We close it, and we're going to build the pack file. So remember, building pack files is always the bob.release.executable. We double click on it, we wait for it, we go back to Empire Design Data, we click on the plus sign, we go down, and we go to units.xml. Okay, we just, all of it we enable, so we all have fees. Units, the groupings, military permission, yes we did, because we add our units to a military group. We also did unit, or we gave them abilities, so we also select unit to unit abilities junctions. Of course we add them to the unit stats land, so we gave them stats. Those are the fundamentals, they always have to be there. If you're making a custom unit, all the ones that I just chose, they always have to be there, just always, doesn't matter. So if you make a custom unit, all the ones that I just did and showed you, those are the fundamentals, they always have to be there. Otherwise something will probably not work properly, or probably will have a crash. So unit stats land, we go to uniforms, because of course we gave them uniforms, the one from the French Marines and British Marines, and also the uniform to faction colors, remember, otherwise if you don't do it, remember it uses the faction colors and we don't want that. So uniform to faction colors, as I said, you can make your own colors, it doesn't matter. And we then go for the last to the CDIR unit qualities, for the auto resolve and the balance bar. Here it is, and we also choose all, and remember we're going to build it. So in retail we click on data, and that's it. So everything is selected, and it will now build our pack file, and we exit. Everything was green, so it means everything was in order. So remember, it's always in retail folder of the modding folder, remember. So what we are going to do, we do the same thing as before. We use our rusted pack file manager. Our pack file manager, we're going to add them to our existing unit.pack, because there's no point of always doing everything again. We don't have to do it. Just the one that we customize, we put them in our pack file. We double click on our executable, we go to pack file again, we open from data because we are directly in our C drive in our Steam folder, Shogun 2, and we go to my units.pack and we click on it. Perfect. And as you see, if we open it with the arrows, we click back on the arrows, we go back here and we say right click on DB, add from pack file, we click on it, double click, and as you can see, we need all of those except variant models and battle terrain, because those are the ones that are in the working data. We don't need those ones, but all what is in DB and text we need to add. So as you see, we already have it, but what is it going to do now is it is going to overwrite all the folders. So we do the same thing as we did before, double click, 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 in the text folder, in the DB folder, unit.log, double click, unit.txt, double click. And as you can see, everything is green. It means we override it all. We exit add from pack file mode, and what we do is we save the pack file. So if you want to verify that we have the units there, well, we just go to units table, units, we click on it, and then we look for our custom units if it's there, because maybe something got wrong, but normally not. If you override it correctly, it's correct. So here you can see we have here the Boschian Inf British Line Infantry and the Boschian Inf French Line Infantry. So they're all added to the unit, and here we have the United States Line Infantry. So it means that it works. So we're just going to go out of the rusted pack file manager, we minimize everything back, and we're going to test it again. And we play again Shogun 2. Okay. My unit.pack is already enabled, launch Shogun 2, and now we're going to wait for it again, for the long loading screen. Yeehaw! It's very important always to test the pack file. So every time when you make changes, you have to test it, because, and I'm just saying it out of own experiences, that sometimes you make a lot of changes, and then you're like, okay, now it's good, I will test it, I put everything in, and then the game crashes. And then try to look for the error. Man, that really sucks. You don't like to do that. That's why I always say, do changes, small changes, test it in game. Or sometimes, if later on when we're going to start really making our own units, per unit you have to do a test, because sometimes there are things that are not working properly. So you really have to test it every time until it works. That is one of the reasons that modding sometimes takes so much time, because you have to test every time. Make changes, test, make changes, test, make changes, test. And testing is not what I do now just to show you off, but sometimes show you off. I always say it, I don't know why. To show you how it works. No, sometimes you have to really like see, okay, how do they do in combat? Does the animation work? How are the textures and this in battle, in standing, in everything? So that's why that is actually most of the time the most thing that you have to do is testing. So to see if you don't have crashes and if the game runs stable, because we all know when you start modding a game, it tends to be a bit unstable if you don't do it correctly. So just for you to know. So what we're going to do now is of course test again our units with the colors and whatsoever. So we already have it here prepared, so we just go back to modify army. I think normally you know how it works. And here you can see in line infantry have the French line, And we have the British line, infantry. You can also put the Royal Marines if you want, but let us just leave that. I will take United States Marines out. So we have now made our 3 custom units. I'm gonna take this one out, it's making me crazy. It's just for testing purposes, so not going to take the entire units. Oh god, makes me crazy. But yeah. We accept and we just do ready to test it in game. And my coffee became cold of all that talking. Okay, so we are in the game itself and we put start. And as you can see, we have our French line infantry guys. So 240 units in unit stats land, and here you can see they have their standard bearer. So yeah, those are the French one. These are the United States, this is the one we already did before, and this is the British line infantry.
Today, sir, we attack.
So yeah, that's how it actually works. We are really at the basic level. From I think the next tutorial will be adding it to a building, so then we can use it in a campaign, of course. So yeah, so then you see how to recruit them in campaign. So here's how they walk. And they all have, here's the chassepot, as you can see very closely. That's in the equipments, but equipments, don't think yet about it. We are going to change it in a later moment. Also, we focus first on making custom units, and trust me, that's already a lot. And when you know how to make custom units, trust me, all the other things will become so much easier. So then you have an understanding how all the tools work and everything. So making equipments will be pretty easy for you. If you know how to make a custom unit, it will be very easy for you. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you like to support me, you can support me on Patreon. That helps me a lot to work hard on everything. I make my own mod to follow the Samurai version 2. And also will make much more tutorials with all the support you have given me, also for giving some feedback and whatsoever. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and next time we will add them to custom buildings. To buildings, so then you can recruit them in the campaign. So that was it, guys, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.